Are you frustrated with traditional weight loss methods that just don't work? Did you know that 80% of people fail who attempt to lose weight? In today's video, we're gonna give you 3 science-backed steps that are backed by me coaching hundreds of people plus thousands of people around the world who've applied these very counterintuitive approaches to weight loss. And listen, I'm not here to help you lose weight once. This is all in context to keeping the weight off, because any monkey can lose weight once. The question is what do you look like after your after photo? That's what we're talking about today. Now, before we dive into the first step, I want you to take a super close look at the photos popping up here on the screen, and we're going to assess your current situation, because the first step we explore is all about setting realistic goals to set you up for success. You see, most people greatly underestimate how long it takes to lose the weight that they've gained. They fail to understand that fat is stored energy, and that stored energy has been compounding not over weeks or months, but over years and years. And they fail to appreciate that not only do they need to lose a ton of fat, but they need to maintain all the muscle in the process in order to keep it off. So one of the biggest mistakes I see is that people have too big of expectations in the short term and too small of expectations in the long term. So let's set some realistic expectations, because we live in this instant gratification culture where everybody wants it yesterday. As a former competitor, I've competed 17 times in different fitness model competitions. And when you've been there, done that, if you will, when you get to later seasons in your life, you have this impression that you could just get back to where you were. I don't want to be making excuses, but when you have a couple kids, you got 3 kids like myself, you've got a business, you've got team members, you've got lots of clients, getting lean almost feels like something you're just entitled to because you did it before, but you don't appreciate how much has changed in your life. You resort to extreme methods you did in the past that you got away with. And what happens is extremes always lead, in my experience, to extreme disappointment. In the first 2-3 weeks, you've got all that momentum going for you, and then you go right back to ground zero. You feel like a failure, and it's all because you didn't set realistic expectations. So I want to share with you my best transformation. And this wasn't the leanest I got, but this was the leanest I got while staying the most muscular. And you can see this photo over here. This is when I was right around 225 to 227. And I was on the bulkier side, had some good muscle on me, but I had a gut. I've always struggled with my stomach. I've always had a hard time just keeping my stomach in check. I seem to have to do everything perfectly to have visible abs. The photo here, where I consider this to be my best physique, and yes, I was on TRT at this time, but this was the most muscular and leanest I've ever been. And you want to know the difference between this first photo and this other photo here? This is the photo I want to get back to, by the way, without the TRT. It was my slowest transformation of all time. I was working with a coach, and he gave me one piece of advice, and he said, Vince, we are going to lose this weight slowly. And he'd been coaching me for years, so he knew my tendencies of resorting to extremes. So he gave me this one tip that changed my life. And it's called the half-pound strategy. And he said, Vince, I want you to weigh yourself every single day of the week. And then after 7 days, add the weight up, divide by 7, and that was your average weight loss. And you're not allowed to lose more than half a pound per week. I went from 227 down to low 200s, so about 25, 27 pounds. And I kept it off for a couple years. And I was so super proud of myself, and I never lost weight that slowly. But when I did, that's when I maintained my most muscular and lean physique. And I definitely believe there's a time and place to do some accelerated methods. I'm not opposed to those, but when that's the only tool in your toolbox, you're setting yourself up for failure. So the very first thing is to set realistic expectations around how long this is going to take. Now, before someone in the comments discredits that transformation because of the TRT, I want to also tell you that I gained back a lot of weight years later while still on the TRT. And this has also been backed by all the students, the hundreds and hundreds of one-on-one coaching clients that I've had who came to me to lose the weight for good. If I ever come out with a fat loss program again, I refuse to take on people that want to lose weight quickly. It will be people who want to lose it permanently. Now, when it comes to transforming your body and shedding that fat, the way you train in the gym is absolutely crucial. Now, most people resort to cardio when they want to lose fat. They'll think, hey, I'm going to start a running program. I'm going to get on the Stairmaster more often. I'm going to start cranking out loads and loads of steps. Nothing is wrong with that, but you're setting yourself up to lose muscle mass. And the only time we want to start scaling up the cardio is when we've got about maybe 10 pounds of fat left to lose. It's in the final 4 to 6 weeks before you're ready to peel your shirt off and do a photo, if you will. Initially, the bulk of your weight loss needs to come from weights. And people even screw this up where they turn their weight training sessions into marathon sessions and they're doing super high reps, lots of supersets, short rest periods. Again, that should be preserved for the final 10 pounds of fat loss. Let's reference my transformation. When I went from 227 down to 200 pounds over the course of the year, I did hardly any cardio at all. That transformation was primarily, it's like virtually 80% weights and diet. That was it. So you don't need cardio to lose fat. You have to be in a slight deficit, which is going to carry over to our final point in nutrition. But during the weight training sessions, we need to train in the same way that we built the muscle. Strength training, heavy weights, progressive overload, focusing on body parts, breaking down muscle tissue, a lot of damage, a lot of eccentric training, a lot of metabolic stress, a lot of mechanical tension. That's the stuff that's going to turn heads once you get all the fat off. Finally, let's talk about nutrition. Everyone says that abs are made in the kitchen, and I couldn't disagree at all. Weight loss comes down to slow and steady wins the race. Inch by inch, life is a cinch. Yard by yard, life is hard. It goes back to how I lost that 30 pounds over the course of a year. It was by going slow. I think the Navy SEAL say something like slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And the worst thing you can do is get impatient, want to cram 3 years of weight gain into a 12-week program. And yes, you probably can lose a bunch of weight. There's a lot of extreme transformations out there, but those people always put the weight back on. The main thing with your nutrition is to manage your hunger. There's two types of hunger. There's severe hunger. That's when you want to go raid the cookie jar because you're in too much of a deficit too soon. And you can get away with it for 2 or 3 weeks and the weight's coming off like crazy, but then all of a sudden you smell salt and vinegar Ruffles chips and you're like, boom, not one bag, but a couple bags. What we want is to be in a slight calorie deficit, what's called tolerable hunger. Not severe hunger, tolerable hunger. And one of the best tips that somebody gave me when I was trying to lose weight was we were at a party together and I'm like, this is freaking ridiculous. They got the barbecue going, there's hot dogs, there's hamburgers, there's chips out. When my buddy arrived, I said, dude, this is ridiculous. He goes, just get comfortable being hungry. And that one tip, I'm like, that's it. I just have to mentally be comfortable with being hungry. I knew that I had to set myself up for being more hungry than ever if I wanted to lose this weight and keep it off, but just slightly hungry. That's the secret. And that means slight deficit, not severe deficit. If you nail that, and I can tell you, you will be nailing it. If you're losing half a pound per week, you're right in that sweet spot and you're setting yourself up for a permanent transformation where you're never gonna have to do another extreme diet again. Last thing I'll share is one of my favorite quotes from a great leadership coach named John Maxwell. And he says, consistency compounds. Consistency compounds. So that half a pound, that stacks up over the year, right? Another great quote from a marathon coach is, it's better to be consistently good than occasionally great. Have that mindset. Slow and steady wins the race. And I hope you got lots of value from this video. I would love to hear from you in the comments below. What fitness videos would you love me to cover next? As you can see, we're rebuilding this fitness channel and I would love to serve you and support you on your journey. So let me know below and we'll hook you up. Until then, keep leveling up or you're gonna level off. Ciao, ciao.